Hello students, welcome back to my channel. The circular flow of income is a concept that illustrates how money and goods flow through an economy in a continuous loop. It helps us to understand the interdependence of households, businesses, government, and the external sector. So, without wasting any time further, let's take a look at what a circular flow of income is all about. Now, let us take a look at the meaning of the circular flow at first. So, a circular flow of income refers to the cycle of generation of income in the production process, its distribution among the factors of production, and finally, it will cover its circulation from households to firms in the form of consumption expenditure on goods and services provided by them. So, given the definition that we just talked about, we can conclude that the circular flow of income comprises of three different phases. The phase 1 is generation phase, and it deals with production of goods and services with the help of factor services like land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurial skills. The second phase involves the flow of factor income from firms to households in the form of rent, wages, interest, and profit. We generally term it as payment for factor services. We call it as payment because it is a payment for businesses, and since it flows from businesses to households, it is recorded as payment for factor services. The final stage here is called as a disposition phase. Now, it's a phase where income received by the factors of production will in turn get spent on the goods and services that are produced by the firms. So, it deals with expenditure on goods and services. Now, there are two different types of circular flows. The first flow is called as the real flow or physical flow, and the second flow is called as money flow or nominal flow. So, a real flow would involve movement of factor services from households to firms. I'm sure you all know what households and firms mean, but for the benefit of those who don't know and are new to the field of economics, households refers to a group of people who live under one roof. Firms, on the other hand, are the production units or factories where goods and services are produced. Alright, so let's get back again. So, real flow is a flow that will lead to movement of factor services from households to firm. What are the different factor services? Basically, all the four factors of production. We have land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Right. The second flow that emanates from the firms is the flow of goods and services from the firms to the households. I didn't write goods and services there. So, this is a flow which deals with movement of goods and services from the firms to the households. This is the flow that would determine the magnitude of growth that occurs in an economy. Say, for example, we have more factor services that are offered by households to the firms. The end result would be higher productivity, more production of goods and services, and hence more economic growth. Hence, it is the most important and determining flow that would help us to know what is the level of growth happening in a given economy. The second flow is called as the monetary flow or the nominal flow. This flow would talk about the payment that is made by firms to the households in terms of factor payments. The various ways through which the payment goes is rent, wages, interest, and profit. So, this would talk about flow of factor payments from the firms to households and the corresponding flow of consumption expenditures from households to the firms for purchasing goods and services that the firms are producing. As mentioned above, it is called as a nominal flow because it involves exchange of money between the two sectors. In the first segment, in the form of factor payments, and in the second segment, expenditure incurred on the consumption of goods and services. When both these flows are combined together, we get a circular flow of income that is pertaining to two sectors of an economy. This is how a circular flow would be depicted with a two-sector economy. We have just combined both the flows, the real flow and the money flow. The black flow here is the real flow and the blue flow is the monetary flow. If we pay very close attention to this, they both move in the opposite directions. So, this is how the black flow moves and this is how the blue flow is moving. So, real flow and money flow would always move in opposite directions. And if we divide this entire thing into half like this, each flow would be a complete transaction. So, if we look at it, households give factor services, firms pay for those factor services. Firms produce goods and services which households are purchasing and are making payment to the firms for those goods and services. So, in and all, this circle is complete and there is absolutely no savings or investments made by the firm. So, the assumptions that we make under the two-sector model is both households and firms, they do not save their income, households do not save and firms do not hold any inventory. That is, whatever they are producing is getting sold out in the market. There is no need for them to hold any inventories. Given those assumptions, this is how a two-sector model without any financial sector is depicted. So, to conclude, when we look at the circular flow of income, we need to understand that at any given point of time, total production would always be equal to total consumption, real flow would always be equal to money flow, factor payment would always be equal to factor income, and consumption expenditure would always be equal to factor income. So, in this way, we can see that there is a regular and a circular flow of income happening in this two-sector model. In the next video, we will talk about the two-sector model with the financial sector included therein. Alright. Until then, students, take care. Bye now.